And we're live.
Yay.
Nothing like rushing in. Two Sagittariuses rushing into a room.
Exactly. I know. That sounds like the beginning of a joke, doesn't it? There was two Sagittariuses rushed into a room.
Yeah. So while there's always like the delay to get on and oh no, now I'm coughing. But so I just right before we hit go on this, we have a weekly, well, we used to have a weekly team meeting anyway, that's neither here nor there, but lately I've been recording an overview of what's happening for the week while we're like restructuring our meetings and things internally in our team. And I just hit end on the recording of that video, sent you the link, put on lipstick, and then you were here, we hit go live. So you and I literally both are just like, how did we get here?
Exactly. And I'm feeling like this dress is a little bit kind of, I feel like I'm blending my background a bit to mine, like camouflaged.
No, it's good. I like it. Anyway, that is definitely a joke. Two Sagittariuses walk into a room.
Yeah.
And all sorts of shenanigans.
Two Sagittarius Sarahs walk into a room.
Yeah. And then nobody else can remember the rest of the story because craziness ensued.
Exactly.
Yeah. Feels like that this week for sure. Okay. Well.
Last week it was going to be like that.
Today's
the big one, isn't it? Today's the I know we're going to talk about it next week, but today's right now is the Sun Square Uranus.
This is
so yeah, we have that real kind of like Sun conjunct Uranus, yeah. So we have that real stuff going on at the minute. Sun opposite. I haven't got my notes in for me from last week. So Sun opposite Uranus. So we've got that kind of like real kind of wanting freedom, might make changes, this sudden like urge to do stuff and make changes and urge for freedom.
I can see that today.
Sun opposite Uranus.
I definitely had like a mini emotional breakdown when I walked into the office today. So I have not been in my office for over a week because I was away visiting my grandparents, and then I was home yesterday, but I didn't come to our office. So I walked in, and as soon as I got here, there was like all this stuff that I took issue with, and then I had stuff at home this morning. I was like, I'm just done with everybody and everything.
I know.
It's work by myself.
I know. That is Sun conjunct Uranus today. Sun conjunct Uranus. So we've got that kind of like our creativity in ourselves and our vitality is all conjunct with that need for freedom and rebellion. And
yes, that's me today. I just want to like rebel against everything in my life and go like rent a Airbnb somewhere and just do something I want to do.
That is total Sun conjunct Uranus.
That's all I want to do today.
Total Sun conjunct Uranus going to do that. It really is. Totally. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me give us an introduction for anybody who might stumble upon this who doesn't know us. I am. I should turn on my other comments. If you're posting from like certain parts, it doesn't show me your name, but somebody is posting that they get it. They had a meltdown last night. That's totally me right now. Anyway, I am Sara. I'm the founder of the Sisters Enchanted. And we have been here at the Sisters Enchanted doing teaching classes online and just bringing magic to the world since 2016. It's our 5th birthday in just about 2 weeks. 5 years ago, I set us up, and it's been a wild ride ever since. And today I am joined by our program director and one of our teachers of our astrology program, Sara Milne, and she brings us these astrology forecasts. Yeah. So, alas, that's what we're doing today.
Yes. So, like I said, we've got this big craving for freedom today because we have the Sun conjunct Uranus, and it kind of then it depends what you said last week when we talked about this. It depends what freedom looks like for you, because for freedom for you might be I just want to bolt away, like we've just been saying, or it might just be I want freedom to just give myself permission to be my authentic self, or I would want freedom to do some more self-care, or I want freedom to watch Netflix all weekend. So freedom can mean different things. So embrace your freedom today, and then as we go into next week, then there's a lot of conflicting energies going on next week. It's like
I have to take notes so I can keep up with you. So I take notes while you talk. All right.
So the moon's going to go into Aquarius over the weekend. So it's going to join all that Aquarius energy that we have right now. So we might have subconscious ideas about doing things in new ways and rebelling, following our Sun conjunct Uranus. Now we've got our moon in Aquarius. So we've got Aquarius obviously is ruled by Uranus. So we've got Uranus in our sun and our moon over the weekend. This kind of energy about rebelling and wanting to freedom.
None of this is good for me. I'm an Aquarius moon. This is like all stacking, and it's all making so much sense because I literally can't with anything on this day. I just want to escape from everybody.
I think you're going to feel like that all weekend, Sarah.
Not good.
But then on Monday we have, quite interestingly, we've got Mercury square with Jupiter. So that's the last day of Mercury in Taurus as well before Mercury moves into Gemini. So this is going to give us this kind of feeling of high hopes and optimism, like Jupiter sort of squaring up with the planet of optimism, and an opportunity squaring up with Mercury, our planet of thought and communication. So it's going to give us this high hopes for the future. It's a good time to make plans where you've got this really broad, positive kind of outlook. But this is a square, right? Yeah, not a conjunction. So there's obviously, whenever there's squares, there's a little but also. So although you might have all this kind of like really optimistic stuff, and you can make some great plans, you've got to be a bit careful that you are realistic and you don't make plans that are just like ridiculous, and you sort of like set off on them and realize that actually my optimism was just blowing my mind up so much, and I've set off on this and it's really not very good. Look at the smaller details, like make sure that you kind of like it's an accurate, realistic plan, and the small details are in hand. And also you might find that you lack a lot of concentration during this time, because you've got Jupiter kind of like all these great ideas, and then it's just kind of like blowing up your mind, and you might lack concentration on the sort of day by day stuff that you're doing.
So far I just need to shelter in place like through Monday, because everything you're describing is like me on a regular basis. That I just make choices and then I'm like, oh no, what'd I do?
True. We might end up making mistakes because we're not concentrating enough, because our mind's just been blown up too much by Jupiter. But also because it's a square as well, we might find that this like optimism blows up too much in our kind of ideas, but also in ourselves. Like we might feel so good about ourselves and so good about our ideas that we come across a bit cocky and arrogant to other people. So we need to like watch how we come across during this day as well, and also be careful we don't overpromise things, because it can be also easy in a Jupiter square Mercury to be like, you know what, I can do that, of course I can do that, and then kind of like a bit can't. And there's other things coming up through the week as well, which might also kind of, in fact on the same day we've got this kind of really weird, we've got all this like optimism and in our thinking, but could lead to over optimism and could lead to over promising things, and it could lead to us being a bit cocky and arrogant. But at the same time, our sun is getting challenged because we also have a sun square Saturn on the same day, and this can be a real test of our character. It can make us feel quite pessimistic about things. So we've got this really strange, we've got this optimism going on in Mercury, our thoughts in Mercury, and then our ego, our kind of center of ourselves, is feeling quite challenged and pessimistic at the same time, and quite weighed down, because our sun is like how we shine and how we kind of like how we are our best version of ourselves, and our ego and this kind of thing, the best us, and how we can reach our goals, because we're all like, being the best version of ourselves. But then Saturn comes along and squares up, and it's like, but you've got responsibilities, you've got to face your responsibilities, and they're not always the same as our perception of the best version of ourselves. So we can kind of come under some pressure here, because we want to just kind of shine, but we've also got to get the jobs done. And sometimes, like, I'm talking to my boss here, sometimes you can come up on a bit of a like, you might feel that you are not living up to your responsibilities to the person who needs the work done by you. But that could be yourself, because of course we all set ourselves responsibilities for the work that needs to be done. But kind of our sun wants us to just like, hey, let's just live the best version of life right now. And then here comes Saturn, like, but you've got responsibilities, and you're a bit like, when it's a square, you're a bit like, but to responsibilities, but you've got responsibilities. It's that kind of energy. So we might feel that we are our characters being tested, like, are we going to face up to our responsibilities or not? We might find that we're under pressure from our boss, for example. You've got stuff to do, and you're a little bit like, I've got this.
Oh my gosh, everybody on Team Sisters Enchanted who's watching this or listening later is probably going to be like, oh, great, Sarah's crazy this weekend, self-admittedly crazy.
And, yeah.
And then on Monday, when like I overpromise things and have crazy ideas, and then everybody here is like,
yeah, and then you might be critical of us, or like, you haven't done my crazy big ideas. Like,
they're gonna be like, Sarah, we can't.
Because you can expect some criticism from your boss or the people that are responsible for you on this day. So we'll all just be going, it's fine, Sarah. It's just the sun square Saturn. We knew you might be critical of us. I'm just not gonna read this.
Yeah, Fawn says so conflicted. Yeah, it sounds to me like
conflicted. It's really conflicted. It really is conflicted because of course it's your Mercury is your thoughts and your logic, and the sun. So I guess the difference is that Mercury is your thoughts and your logic, and the sun is your ego and your center of yourself and your vitality. So I guess we might be feeling quite positive, like quite optimistic in our thoughts and our ideas, but our kind of center of ourselves and our ego is going to feel quite threatened and by this Saturn kind of putting the responsibility on us. It's kind of like, but yeah, it's really conflicting. It's conflicting all this week. It's really strange. So we've got this kind of like, make some great plans with Jupiter squaring Mercury, but then at the same time, like the Saturn square Sun is very much face up to your responsibilities, make sure your work ethic is good. Because if you don't face up to your responsibilities during a Sun square Saturn, then you're going to pick up the pieces later. It's fine. You might just decide, because on a square you can decide to go either which way, can't you? You can say, right, I'm going to go with, you've got to find that medium between the two. And quite often it takes 4 squares where things go a little bit wrong to us be able to like manage that energy between these two planets. So you might decide on one Saturn square Sun, like, you know what, I'm going to be myself, my beautiful, like vital self, and responsibility can wait for another day. But then you might find yourself picking up the pieces later down the line, or you might kind of go, I'm going to really, really, really focus on my responsibilities and then miss an opportunity to shine. So it's all about finding that balance between those two energies.
Always the hardest thing, finding the balance.
Finding the balance, absolutely. But yeah, we might feel like restricted on this day, and we might feel like everyone's just frustrated with us, and we'll get criticism from everybody, and no one's praising us for what we're doing. But it's a test of character. Sarah's going to be sending us all messages now on this day, on Monday. You're all doing great.
I know. Well, as I started this, I already today came into the office like on a complete bender, I will say. So Anna's here in the comments. Anna's saying to prepare herself. And we're doing a lot of changes behind the scenes at the Sisters Enchanted, just like team stuff. We keep growing, and I love ideas and acting fast and getting things done. But when you have 10 people working together, if I'm running a million miles an hour all the time, that really does not give anybody the opportunity to like catch up and actually help and do the things. So we have, some new teammates on board to help organize and like do the things that I'm just not good at, which would be actually breaking things down into plans. So I was like having a morning at home. It was really stressful this morning, and I have all these appointments and things today. And I came into the office, and there was a sink full of dirty dishes from my teammates who work in my office. Also, not everybody lives here, so the people who do work here. And I just wanted to I almost threw all the dishes away. I almost just packed them up and threw them out. And I was like, you know what? You don't wash your dishes. You don't have dishes. I almost did it. And I had to stop myself. And I was like, Sarah, that's ridiculous, because then there won't be any. And then we're going to have to buy paper plates, and that's bad for the earth. And you just need to calm down. But I had to really take a deep breath and step back. But yeah, all of this sounds, and that's only through Monday, right? We're only through Monday.
Oh yeah, we've done Monday. That's
good. It sounds great. It sounds great so far.
Okay, Tuesday then. This isn't going to be good necessarily either, because Mercury moves into Gemini, so that makes us all a bit flippant. Because Gemini Mercury loves being in Gemini. It's one of the signs it rules, but Gemini is very kind of like flippant. Gemini loves to gather information and wants to experience everything in the world, can't experience it for itself. So that's why it loves gossip and loves to talk and share each other's experiences. So when Mercury's in Gemini, it can make our minds really curious, just wanting to experience lots of things and to gather lots of information. And that's all great, but it can make us a bit distracted again, because it's like, well, I'm thinking about this, but I really want to think about that at the same time. And then there's that over there. I want to experience that too. So it can make us quite distracted. It can make us a little bit superficial in things. Like we talked in the Expedition Astrology about different learning styles, and Mercury in air learning styles can be like where you kind of skate over things a bit and you just want to like, yeah, I know that now, like, no, on to the next thing. And that's not a criticism, it's just like wanting so much, wanting everything rather than wanting depth. And that's how Mercury is in Gemini, very much so. So our thoughts might feel quite scattered for the next kind of few weeks, quite scattered, quite like distracted, like just wanting lots and lots and lots of different experiences. At the same time, it makes us very good at wordplay. So if you, I mean, I'm a writer as well. I mean, I write content for Sisters Enchanted, but I also write other stuff. So for me, it might be good for me to time for me to like get some good like sentences and some wordplay. It's good for that kind of thing. But likewise, in your conversations, if you want to have any persuasive conversations with anyone or any kind of interesting conversations with anyone, it could be quite good for wordplay, crosswords, all that kind of stuff. But it's cool. We're going to gather lots of information and be really good in our communication, but we could be quite flippant and quite that butterfly. That's the shadow side of Gemini, and we're going to come back to that a bit later because Venus is also moving into Gemini at the end of the week. So
great. All right. What I need, more scattered thoughts.
It's a scattered week. It's real, like we said, opposing energies and scattered feelings. There's nothing. Don't forget, we've still got the Sun in Taurus though, so we need to look at that Sun in Taurus to ground us this week, and going out in beauty. And
it sounds to me too like if you can be self-aware through all of this, that it could be like really a time of being creative with thoughts and new ways of thinking. So I feel like we always we do this with tarot, just like everything, where we kind of are like, well, here's the shadow aspects or like the worst case scenario. But if we're aware of it, we can also, this energy can always be useful in
absolutely.
It sounds like a mad genius creativity kind of week.
It is that kind of week. It definitely is that kind of week. And I think certainly like we've all been locked down for so long, and we want to get out there and kind of experience different things, and like it's good for that, forcing us out of this. But we have got some depth because on Thursday we've got Venus trine Pluto, and when a trine means that the energies are running really well between these two planets, and they're like really kind of feeding each other with their energy. So this is quite a deep time, and it's because Venus rules love, and we all think about that, but also Venus also rules creativity and art, and also finances and money and that kind of thing. So this could be a time for kind of mysterious, karmic, intense relationships. If you have a new romance during that time, it could be quite intense one. It might be intense forever. It might just be a very short, intense, karmic kind of like transformational relationship, which then moves on. But it could also be a time where we are quite obsessive in general about things, particularly about the things we desire. Like we might be quite fascinated by things, quite fascinated in things like the occult and things and esoteric ideas and particular fashions or art, or quite fascinated by these sorts of things. And if you are artistic, we're talking about artistry and creativity, if you are an artistic person, this is a really good transit for you, because this is a time when you just want to close the door and you just want to be left to do some real intense, deep artwork. Because with Venus and Pluto's energy coming together, you can really get deep and really deep into something. So if you are artistic, then just get really close that door that day and come up with some deep, intense work, which could be really good. Of course, with that Mercury energy going on as well, you might have collected some. So I'm writing, I'm always hearing snippets of conversations and this, that, and the other, which makes me write a note. But if you've kind of been collecting that kind of stuff for your inspiration, then you go and shut the door and make something deep with it on that day.
Totally a mad genius week.
It is a total mad genius week. Be careful not to like investments, like you might want to make some deep investments with your money on that day. So be careful, because also once Venus moves into Gemini on Sunday, we would be quite careful with money as well. So
Good to know. Good to know.
So Saturday, it's all about Venus now. The rest of the week, it's all about Venus. So Venus squares Jupiter. Like we talked about Mercury squaring Jupiter. Venus has its turn to square Jupiter on Saturday. So this is bringing that sort of like experience and fun, because that's coming on Sunday. So Venus is beginning to move towards that kind of Gemini energy. Remember, we said Jupiter is all this optimism. So Venus is beginning to really look at fun here. But it could be a bit of a problem, like, because you're going to be really funny with all your like friends and your social relationships and stuff. But you might, like, if you need to attend to anything serious, then it could be a bit of a problem. Again, like in terms of work, you might just feel distracted by just wanting to socialize and have fun. So it's all that, again, that kind of push and pull between responsibility and work and fun. It's a time for like again, fun relationships. It might be affairs and things, or like fun relationships, but like be careful, because again, things are going to seem really optimistic in love as well, like they were optimistic for Mercury in mind at the beginning of the week. So just be careful that you're not kind of like engaging into something where you're actually going to be like, you know what, this isn't quite how it looked with my rose tinted Venus square Jupiter glasses on, because it's a square. So it's a pull. We get this kind of like, yeah, optimism, you know, too much optimism, not enough optimism, and so forth. It can kind of cause us a bit of excess when it comes to like money. We might want to spend money on things, particularly if they are to do with beauty and to do with art and so forth. We might have some grandiose ideas about, so we've had this creative depth of creativity on Thursday. Now we might have a grandiose idea. So you might come up with something great, and then you're thinking, that's going to be my best thing. I'm going to throw everything in that. I'm going to go out and spend loads and loads of money on paint because it's going to be so good. And then you
I am like the queen of grandiose ideas.
Yeah, particularly with art and creativity, grandiose ideas and art and creativity. Again, paying attention to that detail. It might not come off in quite the way you planned it to if you don't pay attention to the detail. So, and we might also like find ourselves eating like lots of good food, like that make us feel better and feel good, and like blowing up that sort of stuff as well. So it's a lot of interesting. Here
in the US, next May 9th, that is Mother's Day here in the US. So that makes a lot of sense that eating the food and maybe just like caught up in the merriment and making choices you might not otherwise make. It's that's my son's birthday this year too. We're sharing Mother's Day on his birthday. And then of course this weekend is Beltane. So, and that is like the epitome, like if I were to look at the different like festivals on the wheel of the year, Beltane would be the one that I would say would be like the mad genius energy. Just like toss everything to the wind and just, you know, run wild in the woods and be with the fairies. Yeah, so it's really, you know, all lining up.
Yeah, and also like astrologically, Beltane comes on Wednesday on the 5th. So like if you're following Beltane astrologically, I'm going to try, because our weather here is just so, like in the UK at the minute, dark and dull and wet. So I'm giving up this weekend. We'll see what Wednesday's like. Try and celebrate it on Wednesday. But I loved what you said in the podcast. It's like, you know, Beltane energy. If it's dull and dreary, it's not really Beltane energy. So I'll wait till the sun comes out again. But yeah, astrologically, when Beltane does fall in the middle of this crazy week.
Let's see, Christina, if you're here, can you pull up our the blog post that has we have a PDF with a printable activity guide for all sorts of Beltane activities, and then also the this week's podcast episode where we talked about Beltane. Yes. We talked about the Scorpio moon and Beltane all in one, but the Beltane portion is in there as well. So Christina will grab that and link it up in the comments for us. Or you can always go to the sistersenchanted.com/blog, and there's all sorts of good stuff on there. But we do have a Beltane activity guide. When I left to come here this morning, I had my kids out in the backyard picking all of the violets and dandelions to do some fun things like making violet lemonade and decorating a cake with dandelions, because my husband's going to mow our lawn. So I was like, well, they're all going to cut down. Go snag them up.
Absolutely. Yeah, we used to pick a lot. I've made lovely dandelion honey in the past. So good.
Yeah.
It's like honey, but now everyone's, of course, is talking about dandelions need to be left for the bees.
Yes. I know.
Yeah, if they're being mowed anyway, then that's...
I know. Yeah, we wait until the day before mowing to try to give the bees the most chance, and then they get mowed down, and so we just go pick them. But we have 2 acres of land, so we have an abundance of plants.
For you and the bees, it's perfect.
Yeah, we have so much.
The weather just doesn't look good here at the minute. It's just, it was, but no, it's gone all nasty, so it doesn't feel very Beltane here at the minute. But I think like a lot of all this energy is very Beltane. It's also is that kind of like, it does make, to me, it does align with kind of like the lockdowns beginning to be eased in some countries, and it's kind of like when you run the school bell and the kids just go, hey, I'm out. I'm gonna,
right.
Don't be too optimistic, don't blow up too much, kind of like think about your responsibilities as well.
I know, and balance. So this week we have the moon in Aquarius this weekend, and then Monday Mercury square Jupiter. I believe you said Mercury's rounding out in Taurus. So just being realistic with what you're doing, if you have the urge for some like really big plans. And then we have some conflicting energy there with the Sun square Saturn, which might we have this optimism, but also like feeling kind of pessimistic. So maybe like optimism with big ideas, but then maybe with like our ego, right? And so a conflicting energy there. Then Mercury is moving into Gemini Tuesday, more scattered thoughts, which could, that makes sense too, coming off of that. Well, I feel 2 different ways, and now I'm just scattered in general.
Yeah.
And then later on in the week, Venus trine Pluto. So those big, deep relationships could be forming. Careful with your money. And
And we've got Venus, and we've got Venus, the Venus square Jupiter is on Saturday. We've just talked about, then Venus moves into Gemini on Sunday, which gives us that curiosity in our romantic and social life, and also in our like art and money, in all those kind of things, and beauty, or like, so all our anything to do with our desires, we're going to have that kind of curiosity, wanting to collect lots of different experiences, but at the same time potentially a little bit fickle with it.
So definitely Imagineous energy, starting off kind of chaotic and conflicted, rounding out with like deep and artsy kind of, but also merriment. So
just keep on to that Taurus energy. If you need grounding through this crazy week, then it's Taurus. The sun's in Taurus still, so you can ground yourself with that.
Yeah, for sure. My kid, he'll be 4 on May 9th, and he's a Taurus sun, but he's a 12th house Scorpio moon. I know I've mentioned, and he's a Sagittarius rising. So he is the Taurus sun. He loves to be snuggled and like cuddled, but beyond that, I mean, he is just like he's at 1 minute he's laughing, the next he's in an intense meltdown of epic proportions. Like, oh no. I thought Taurus season might help with this a little bit, but it has not. It's not proved to outweigh those other things. Anyway, all right. Well, if anybody watches this on the replay and you have questions or need clarification about anything, you can always find us in our Expedition to Soul Facebook group. That's our sort of just open group here. Or on Facebook, depending where you're watching this. And we run our free classes out of there. And Sarah's in there, as well as our other astrology teachers. So if you have any questions or you need clarification or you missed something, definitely go over there and let us know. We're happy to help. Head to the blog where you can find some information on Beltane. And we post replays of videos and podcast episodes up there often. So much good stuff. And if you're interested in dipping more into the esoteric, as Sarah was mentioning, we do have Tarot Throwdown happening. And for our birthday month, we're celebrating with live Q&As and lessons every week in May. And on May 23rd, we're having a 1-day live event full of guest presenters and speakers, and to celebrate our 5th birthday here at the Sisters Enchanted. So you can check that out at tarotthrowdown.com if you're not registered yet, and get in there for that goodness, because yeah, we're really excited about our 5th birthday. So we're putting on a 1-day virtual event for that.
It's gonna be good fun.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Sarah, for hanging out with me this morning.
Have a good week, everyone. Enjoy.
Yeah. Tether yourself down and enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.